Greetings, 757 students. This week's vidcast will have only two parts, and they're short because I really wanted you to have time to read through the excellent articles in this week's module about disabilities and issues in young adult librarianship. The second vidcast looks at historical fictions and book series. I've also provided some articles about book talking, as that is your next large assignment, so let's get started. In this vidcast, you'll learn about bibliotherapy and how to apply it. You'll learn about disabilities literature for young adults, and then you're going to learn about the award winners in the field. In the second part of the vidcast, you'll learn about historical fiction and why these types of series are so appealing to teens. I thought this quote was a good launching point for our discussion because it's important for us to realize that young adults who have disabilities, whether these are physical, mental, or learning differences, need to see themselves in literature. As I mentioned in the multicultural literature vidcast, it's important for anyone who is differently abled, physically or mentally, to be able to be validated by encountering characters that mirror their experience. These books also help other students learn about those who have lived these experiences and helps them develop understanding and empathy. On your screen, you'll see some definitions from the literature about what bibliotherapy is, but for the purposes of this vidcast, I'm going to talk about it in terms of its use with disability issues, combining the two topics of bibliotherapy and disability literature. However, please note that bibliotherapy has been around a long time. It can be helpful for adults facing death issues or divorce issues, and bibliotherapy is also used to help children, adults, and young adults understand themselves and cope with their problems. The Greeks used the term biblio for book and therapia for healing. Back in ancient times, the library was actually considered the healing place of the soul. It was where people could turn to find materials to read on a range of issues they were facing. In the modern age, the term was coined by Samuel McCord Crothers. In the 30s and 40s, you started seeing not just librarians, but educators, guidance counselors, social workers preparing articles on the application of bibliotherapy. Why should you use bibliotherapy strategies with your students and patrons? Well, it allows children and teens to better understand people around them who are facing different challenges or who are differently abled. It can help them understand that that world in a little more detail than as a spectator on the outside looking in. It's also less threatening. Clinical therapists use bibliotherapy because the interaction between a child and a story is less threatening than actually talking about the issue with an adult or with peers. It helps children and youth deal with a difficult topic in a way that is non-threatening to them. And here are a few more benefits for you to review. Michael Cart, the author of our textbook, talks about how it can help civilize children and young adults. And I talked about them being able to identify the differences between themselves and the characters, but it's not just the differences that can help them bridge understandings, it's also the commonalities that students can read about and realize that, yes, this autistic classmate of mine is different, but there are also a lot of things that we have in common. On the screen, you'll see some suggested bibliotherapy strategies. As a librarian, you're not expected to go deep or to have hundreds of soul-searching conversations, but you can treat the books as you would others if you were doing a literature circle or if you're guiding students in discussion. There are all kinds of things you can do listed on the screen, and many more ideas are available. You might want to read the article that's at the bottom of the screen. You could have kids complete a KWL chart. You could ask students or patrons what they know about ADHD, for example, what they want to know, and then what they learn after they read the book. You can have them look at picture books or novels or even write their own story. They can do this as a graphic novel or a short story. There's a disabilities research website that students can use to obtain information for a disability social history project. There are also many celebrities who have disabilities. Students can put together reports on those people and then share them with the class. On your screen, you'll see some great disability websites. Some of them are lists or bibliographies of bibliotherapy. Melissa Thibault has written an article in Learn NC. Linda Lucas Walling is actually a retired professor from SLIS who still is in Columbia and is very active and involved with the collection that is at the South Carolina Center for Children's Books and Literature. I hope you get a chance to visit Skibble and take a look at this collection. Linda actually has cerebral palsy, a mild form of it, so she's done research and written many books on the topic. She's considered a real expert in the field of disabilities literature. There are two awards that are best known in the field for disabilities literature. One is the Dolly Gray Award. Dolly Gray was a child who had disabilities and died at an early age. Her parents wanted to honor her memory, so they created an award in 2000 that recognizes authors, illustrators, and publishers of books that portray individuals with disabilities. The award is given by an association that the parents developed with the Council for Exceptional Children. The Dolly Gray Award is given annually at the Council for Exceptional Children's Conference. ALA has their own Disabilities Literature Award, the Schneider Family Award. It honors an author or illustrator similar to the Dolly Gray Award. It has 3 annual awards, and each consists of $5,000 and a plaque. You can see the categories on your screen. If you haven't already read your required disability title for this semester, you can read a young adult title from the Dolly Gray Award or Schneider Award list, either by current winners or honors or from previous lists. Just make sure that you select a young adult title because, as I mentioned, they also award books for younger children as well. The latest Dolly Gray Awards for young adults are on your screen. You could also read from the Intermediate Award since it will be geared more towards middle school. I won't read these to you because you can take a minute and read them for yourselves. The Schneider Family Awards for 2017 were announced at ALA Midwinter in Boston. The 2 that I want to tell you about are the middle school and then high school titles. This is As Brave as You by Jason Reynolds, and it's about a boy who moves from Brooklyn to Virginia with his big brother in order to live with his grandparents. His grandfather is blind. It's not on the list that I posted for you early in the semester, but you can read either one of these 2 Schneider Awards. The Schneider Teen Award that was announced for 2017 is When We Collided, and it's by Emery Lord. This book explores the struggle of mental illness in a frank and revealing way. Jonah steps up to take care of his siblings after his father's death and his mother's struggle with depression. It's also a tearjerker romance. I've not had an opportunity to read either of the Schneider Awards, but I hope to. They're on my to-read list, and I hope some of you will enjoy reading them. I recently learned about a new source of author podcasts called the Bibliophiles, and it's the Coates Children's Library, which is in Princeton at Princeton University. These podcasts are free and available for you to download through iTunes or your feeder preference. If you prefer, you can also get the written transcripts of the interviews. Now, a lot of these are going to be younger children's authors, but several of them are young adult authors who you may be familiar with.